Hello, my name is John Rosebush. This will be the 12th video that I produce on powering the planet. This video is directed specifically at the United Nations as a proposal. I have created a new energy invention that has the ability to power this planet many times over through clean, eco-friendly, alternative energy. It actually has the ability to create between 500 and 1,000 terawatts of power on 80% of the planet for what I believe to be 10% of the cost through clean, eco-friendly alternative energy. Presently, our planet produces about 20 terawatts of power. So this new energy invention changes everything we think about electricity and energy today. Now, I have no way of contacting the world leaders or the United Nations except through this video. You know, our world's in trouble. We're on an unsustainable path. We all know this. You know, we only do have 50 years of oil reserves, and maybe, possibly, we find another 50 years. So that's 100 years. It's not very long. You know, if we would change the way we think and what we do, we could create a world where we could sustain life, even for 7 billion people, possibly for tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, maybe permanently. But we have to change. We have to change now. You know, currently our world, the smog in India and China and a lot of the major cities around the world is totally almost inhabitable for the people. Now, you know, this is a proposal to the United Nations. What do I need? Why am I creating this video? I need the United Nations to come together to help create a worldwide project to get off carbon fuels. You know, a lot of those oil resources we use for products. Actually in the United States, 30% of the oil consumed in the United States is for products. Now that's what keeps a modern society going. That's plastics, that's asphalt, that's so many things that I've talked about in previous videos. So what am I asking of the United Nations? I need the United Nations to sign an agreement for this new energy invention, that they'll pay a royalty to some type of a world organization that assists poor countries. It's essential we don't leave anybody behind. We can't have some countries with a huge amount of energy and other countries not with this new energy invention I created. I would not allow it. So why haven't I went through the traditional path of patenting it and all the other things? We know that the patent system around the world is corrupt. I did not go through the traditional path for greed or for anything. I did it to make sure that I have certain goals. And some of those goals mean that we're going to help poor countries, poor people around the world. And we're also going to elevate a middle class. That's my goal. And actually, if I'm not wrong, I think the United Nations has a very similar goal. Now, you know, in the past, you've been corrupted. And I need you to step up and actually change the future of this planet. You're the one body in this world that can do it. Now, you know, if you believe me or you don't believe me, it's pretty simple to sign that type of an agreement. And also, I would like a little compensation for me. But the real push of this is to bring the world together. Now, I'd be willing to come to the United Nations, and the nations could bring their engineers, and they could review my project once that agreement's signed. And then if they disagree, then I can go away. It's that simple. So if nobody decides to use this new invention, then all you did was waste a little time. But if my new invention works, which I'm 99.9% sure it does, then we can change the trajectory of this entire planet. Poor countries can be elevated through a huge amount of energy. When I believe I can create a terawatt of power in one site, that's almost enough power to power the United States or China. That's huge. And I've got nobody to share them. I don't gain nothing if this doesn't work. But if it does work, It changes everything. It actually allows this planet to power alternative energy vehicles. It gets rid of all the smog in China and India. It elevates poor countries to where they have, in some cases, a huge amount of energy. I'll use Pakistan as an example. I believe Pakistan can create 3 or 4 terawatts of power. I believe South Africa can create almost a terawatt of power. Just 80% of the planet will have a abundance amount of energy that they could do almost anything. It solves your water shortages that the United Nations is worried about. It solves food shortages by quit growing food for biofuels and start feeding the planet again. It does so many things that the United Nations was created for that it would just change everything. I actually believe it would eliminate a lot of wars because of oil. And it doesn't really hurt the oil countries. It extends their life. Think about it. Think about how important plastics are. Asphalt. Those are oil products. So it extends the life of those for hundreds, if not thousands of years. This proposal is coming from a normal person, an average citizen of this world. And I don't have a lot of fancy lawyers, so I'm actually even going to need someone to help write up this agreement. But the invention works. One thing I'm not is a liar. I'm not a sham artist. I am a real individual that cares about mankind, and especially the poor and the middle class around the world. It actually is going to almost destroy monetary policy around the world, because I believe we'll be able to create energy for 10 cents on the dollar. But we could use this as a new vehicle to elevate the world, to update grids all over the world. You know, I'll give you a couple examples, like our transportation. You know, we could create hydrogen compressed air stations, electrical charging stations all over the world. You know, those will be the only 3 forms of energy in the future. That's it. Unless we create some biofuels for some specific purpose. But once oil's gone, that's what replaces it. And that's what replaces all energy. Hydrogen can also be used to transport electricity from one location to another. In other words, you have electric coming in, you create hydrogen, you can liquefy it just like you do natural gas today and ship it. You know, the one thing it does do is, let's look at the United States. We could put grids all over the United States, and we could create temporary hydrogen storage facilities around our major cities. So if the power went out, you actually create electricity from those storage facilities. So you're not transporting any petroleum or anything. Now we can do that around the world. So, you know, I don't want to change cultures. Africa is beautiful because of its culture, and it's different than the United States. But if it had cheap and abundant energy, it could make that culture their own culture and actually create a wonderful place. Even though it's poor today, imagine what all the electricity that they could ever use be available to them. The same with a lot of poor countries in South America and all over the world. It rebalances the entire world in a very, very positive way. But the world needs to understand, and the reason why I'm going to you is that, you know, if one country, like say in Africa or South America, can create abundance of energy and the other country can't, that the United Nations forces them to share it. You know, this is bigger than a country. This is absolutely necessary. The United Nations comes on board and controls what this is without corruption. You know, the extra, the assistance that the poor countries would get through royalties would have to be run by scientists, not through political, but actually through scientists. Because I believe this new energy invention will allow the world to create enough power for all countries in the entire world, except for the 20%, but we can assist them to have an abundance of energy, way more than they could ever use, and that would make anything possible in this world. So that's what I need you to do, is step up and help create an agreement and bring this new energy invention to fruition. I'm not greedy. And the reason why I have avoided patents and even letting people know what this new energy invention is because of all the corruption. I'm actually trying to get mankind to come together and create a world that would be last for tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of years. So I need your assistance, and if you would contact me, I will be glad to come to the United Nations, present this. All I need is for an agreement to be signed. What harm is it going to do? We can do it privately. In other words, the public doesn't come in case you're worried about looking foolish, because this invention works. You know, it's very, you know, I wanted GE and Siemens to validate it before I came to you under non-disclosure agreements. But they seem to have an issue, and I think it's due to them with their business relationships. But the United Nations is bigger than that. The United Nations, actually, you assist people through aid today, and you try to make peace in the world. This can create a world that you will play a huge major role in. Actually, you will play the major role in of developing a world where all our children and grandchildren and future generations have a planet that they'll be proud of. I thank you for watching this video, and please contact me through email or through one of my websites. Thank you.